Hi, welcome back to Denny Harris Arts. In this series, I'm going to be doing a yellow golden rainbow trout, and it's actually I'm going to be doing three. A guy contacted me. Him and his two sons each caught one on a trip back in the winter, and he wanted to have a base done with all three on the base. So that's what I'm doing. I just finished up doing two bass, and I swore then I would never work on two at a time because it puts me so far behind on getting videos out on the channel. But I know this guy and he's a friend of mine, so he asked me if I would do this, so I'm doing three at a time. So it's kind of why I haven't been able to keep up with keeping videos out. So appreciate y'all being patient with me. I'm going to get started on this. I've got my pattern here. This is actually a Bob Berry pattern that I've altered to fit the size of these trout that he caught. The original pattern had a straight mount, top and bottom view, but I took it in Photoshop and I used a tool called Puppet Warp to shape it to give it some motion. If you'd like to see how I do that, leave me a comment in the comment section below and I'll do a video on how I use that tool to make that have motion in it. Anyway, I'm gonna get the camera turned around here and get started on this part one series segment. I'm going to be carving the blank and the head detail. So appreciate you watching. I'm going to get turned around and get started. So after cutting the basic shape out on the bandsaw, you can see here it's just kind of blocked out. And I use a ball nose cylinder cut saw bit here, and it's extra coarse to round off the edges and start wringing out the shape of it. And then in a few minutes I'll swap over to the same bit, only in a fine. And I keep my patterns handy, and I check frequently on the blank to make sure it's lining up where I want it. Here I established the center line on the piece. I want to keep that in mind at all times, and I'll draw it in and sand it off and redraw it multiple times throughout the process just to make sure it's staying center. Here's the fine ball nose cuts all, and then the coarse. You can kind of see the difference here. And these are my absolute favorite sanding attachments. They're 3-inch padded drum sanders, a 1/4-inch shaft, and I keep 2 of them. I keep one loaded with 120 grit emery cloth, and the other one is loaded with I believe it's 320 finer grit. And the padding on it allows you to go around these contours easy. And you don't want to run this full speed. You want to run it just about half speed because it'll fly off. And make sure you use emery cloth on them and not paper, because paper won't stay on them. And here I'm using a 1/4-inch shaft fine taper bit from Cutsaw. I'm just using this to kind of define the caudal peduncle area here of the tail, and I'll take it down and then start using, in a few minutes I'll switch over to a flame burr and start defining the tail fin. And here's the flame burr. It's also in a fine. I've got it in a coarse also. And I've swapped back to the ball nose extra coarse here to start defining the contours of the tail here. You can see where I've got it drawn out on the center line here to show the motion. I normally print several patterns and then cut them up into different sections, like the head, the body, and the fins. And right here I'm doing the head. I've got one piece with the head cut off, and I'm using it to draw on the gill covers in the mouth and the eyes. By separating it out, it's easier than holding the whole pattern on it. So I take a flex cut knife and I cut straight down on the gill cover detail, and what this does is it creates a stop for the hooked skew knife that I'll use here in a minute to cut the relief and the detail. This is the flex cut hooked skew knife. Gives you a little bit better control. You can come in at the angle here and cut it up. You can even use the heel of it to cut down straight also into like I did with the knife a minute ago. But this just lets you get at a sharp angle here, and then you can see where I cut up to the line I cut with the knife straight down. Just gives me a stopping point.
And I love these little detail sanders. I bought these at Hobby Lobby. I think it was like 20 bucks. You can get them on Amazon also. And they're different grits. They're from extra coarse, which is I think 80 grit. And then there's a 120 or a 180, 120, and a 240. And they're just they're good. They're spring loaded. You can roll the loop of sandpaper around when you wear out the tip. And they're great for getting in these little tight spaces like this. And I'll just work down through the grits, smoothing this out.
Try not to put a very deep relief on these gill covers on the trout, because the trout is one of the most streamlined, sleek fish, freshwater fish there is. And you're not going to see a lot of rough edges on there. It's going to be almost smooth, but you got to put something in there to define it. But I've seen some carvings where they cut these gill details too deep, and it's just not how it is on a real fish, on a real trout. I mean, it's almost smooth. If you run your hand over it, it's almost smooth. So I just want to show the hint that it's there. I'll end up going over and sanding this to smooth all these edges down. Also, to smooth them all down. It's not a rough cut. It's real smooth. I just want the indication. I'll put a little bit more than what there would be on a real one, but you don't want these real deep here. There's a little, the back gill flap here, there's like 3 sections of movable bone here. So there's like, you'll see a little fold here. It's actually a segment. And you don't want those real deep either. You probably just do just an impression of them. You don't even have to carve them in there. Just take files. I'm just going to kind of make. Just putting a real light impression in there. I'm not even carving it. Just kind of indenting the wood a little bit. Might be kind of hard to see, but there's just a little bit of an impression in there.
I'm using this little diamond bit here with rounded, it's a little disc with a rounded edge to put in the detail of the branchiosical rays of the gills here.
The eye socket here has a little bit of a concave oval shape to it here. So I'll redraw the eyes in, but I've got the outside of the oval shape in there. Just gonna draw rather small. I need to get the detail around the nose here. That's a little tricky. It's going to be hard to see. So I'm going to be doing the nose holes here. They have a tiny little ridge around them. See that little bit of a ridge around that or not? Yeah, you can there a little bit. cone to work on the mouth here. All right, that's going to be it for part one of this yellow rainbow trout wood carving project. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them for me in the comment section below. And if you're new to the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you consider subscribing. And I apologize for being so long between projects. Work's keeping me busy, and I just wrapped up deer season here, so I'm going to get back in it hard and heavy here. And again, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you on part two coming up, which will be working on the fins.